right, welcome back to the studio. I have with me here Dr. Felix Olorunda. Thank you so much for being here. And I have Mr. Sunday Udibashi. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being here. All right, so as we all know, the Tinubu's administration, or Tinubu himself, it's over a year now since he rose up to that position as being the #1 citizen of Nigeria. And we are going to be analyzing what he has done so far in the course of that 1 year. But first, let me get your views on his performance so far. I mean, when he came in, there was so much expectations. I could say expectations were so high, and there were so many promises here and there. But now it's 1 year already. How would you rate his performance so far? Okay, let's start with Mr. Sunday Udibashi.
Yeah, I think generally one can say it's been 1 year of activities.
Okay.
So it's an eventful 1 year where the government is engaged in so many things, policies, trying to write programs and making decisions and all that. So we have seen a government that is functional for at least 1 year. And trying to create its own direction on how to turn the country around. And how far they have gone within the past 1 year, give the perspective has not been encouraging. If you look at another perspective, we might say, okay, maybe they are trying to lay a foundation to have a takeoff. So generally, we have seen a government is full of activities.
Okay, full of activities. All right, let's have Mr. Felix points. How would you rate the current government?
Well, like my
so
colleague
far
said, they're trying to lay the foundation for the administration because I would think it's not even 1 year, because we saw the government trying to assemble a cabinet. It took them 3 months to do that. So what we have seen is 9 months of after the cabinet formation, that took 3 months out of the 12 months. And so we have seen an area of activity here and there, but the foundation has not been laid as far as I'm concerned. They are still trying to lay the foundation because the expectation was high, and the expectation is still very high, and a lot of desires have not been met concerning what we expect them to do. But because of our resilient nature as Nigerians, keep hoping that maybe somehow, this government will really know what the need of the people are, and they can, start hitting the ground running. But right, we have not seen that hitting the ground running like they say in this administration. We have not seen that, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so what about now let's look at the reforms, the policies, at the course of, just as Mr. Sunday said, a lot of activities, and I think most of the activities were in line with, some adjustment here and there, fixing up. So let's talk about the reforms and the policies. Some, I would say, were of good intentions, but we are currently feeling the impact, of some of these reforms and policies. But generally, let's look at some of the things that were set up at the course of the 1 year. Which of them were you impressed with so far?
Yeah, like when I talked about activities, we've seen government that is coming up with actions, coming up with policies, and going from one place to the other, trying to make things work. For instance, for the first time, when we compare this with the past administration, we have seen a government that has a structure, and there's somebody in control. Like when we had a passive leadership in the past, now we have a leader that is in charge and is responsible.
And listens.
Exactly. Now when we talk of a foundation, they have laid the foundation, they have taken off. Okay? In some aspects, they are making progress. In some aspects, they are also failing. They are not making progress. And when you centralize this, you see the consequence of those policies within this.
Okay, can we break this? Can we expand
this?
Yes, okay, so we know what is working and what is not.
So when you now converge this, you now see the consequence of those policies, the results are being felt. There's no excuse for the government. Nigerians are suffering. There's hardship in the country. There's difficulty, so people can live. There's even hunger in the land. So people cannot really say we can survive because of living is high, because of government decisions. Now, have they really made a positive impact? In the first time, the structure of government, you have to, I think the president has been able to put the structure of government in place to say, yes, there's somebody in control of this government. So decisions cannot just come from anywhere and impose it. You take the cyber security levy, for instance. When the decision was made, when he was outside the country, it was in Europe. And even some psychophants were telling Nigerians that the president can rule from anywhere. When there were questions of where is Mr. President, some psychophants were telling us that the president can rule from anywhere. But the president never ruled from anywhere. He came back to Nigeria and ordered the reversal of that cyber security levy. So it shows, one, we have a leader who is in control today. Okay, unlike the past, you see a government is organized. Now we take away from there. Okay, now you look at this. Let's look at the ministers. You know, per se, like the questions you are raising. If you look at the Minister of Communication, Innovation, and Digital Economy, you can see the driving here. You see the innovations he's bringing into governance, and you can see the direction he's going. So he's making progress. I think I can acknowledge that.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you go in the direction of, you think of the Minister of Aviation, he made a fundamental decision the other time that VIPs should pay for using the airports. And he said that the government is losing 10 billion. And the president endorsed it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a fundamental. This is significant. Okay? Okay, now, you move in a little bit and go to maybe the SCT minister. If you are to pick them, he has completed the metro line within 1 year that is floating. Although I disagree that they should run it for free. Government should not give us this thing for free. Let them provide it. Let them be accessible, affordable. Not available. This is the basis norm of governance. You don't give us for free. We don't want it free, but let it be accessible. Let it be, then you not come back to the reform, and because that's what we're also having problem, and that is where also some ministers have to be faulted, because there are ministers who are also in charge of the reforms, and they didn't give the right direction. They didn't bring the right intelligence, and that is why the Nigerians are suffering. That Mr. President withdrew subsidy from petroleum products. There was nothing wrong in it. But basic actions ought to be taken by Mr. President, because he knows, because before you make a policy, you must think of the consequences. And the consequence of that removal was immediate. He didn't wait for anything. And when that consequence was immediate and it brought hardship, what a rational government should do is to make sure that the hardship does not last for long. Now, he take one or two steps. One, he said, okay, we have, in attempt to, I think that was a pretense, to say, oh, we have removed this petroleum business from the monopoly of NNPC. And he said they have licensed 6 companies to import petrol. Has that improved anything? No. Now, as long as that monopoly exists, you must break that monopoly and throw it open. You don't have to regulate a particular business of governance that you know is going to cause hardship, and you don't expect that there will be magic overnight to get it done. So that is why. So there's a flaw with that policy. Okay, there's a flaw with that policy, and that is why the hardship has continued. And there is no hope that this hardship will end. If the policy continues to go in the direction it's going. No, let's be very honest. If the policy continues to go in the direction it's going, there's no expectation that the hardship will end. Except there's a reversal, and the president must do what he needs to do to get that policy work. All right. Now you take the exchange rate something. At the time we were told that EFCC had to go shooting in Abuja. That's a mechanical approach to governance. Okay, so there are fundamentals, and those fundamentals have not. And look at these 2 policy decisions. The consequence, direct consequence of Nigerians, businesses, and everything. So I think there is.
All right. Let's have Mr. Felix point.
Okay, talking about the policy. Okay, the one that has impacted us in a very negative way is the fuel increase.
Of course.
It seems to affect everything. Okay, transportation, moving of goods and services, manufacturing. There's no power, so people rely on petrol and diesel to power their small scale industry, whatever. So things have been very difficult. Okay, and there is one policy that was not well thought out, because if it's well thought out, it will have imagined or envisaged the consequences that was going to bring. And okay, so we have this expectation that one refinery was going to start running by December. Port Harcourt, we have not seen the product from that refinery. Okay, we have hope that the Dangote refinery will start, and when all of this come on stream, there'll be importation will reduce, and because we are going to make this product available locally, and 1 year after that removal of subsidy, we have not seen all of those promises fulfilled. So it has been a very difficult 1 year. Because when you have a change of government, you would expect that, because the government that is coming in, okay, will have learned from the past administration and will be able to bring it. So people want a lease of life, things will be done differently. Because we are just transiting within the same government, within the same party, okay, from APC of 8 years, and then now we now have another APC government continue. The government is a continuum. So, and now, what we have seen in the last 1 year, okay, is even when we compare it to the last 8 years of the former administration, we see that the hardship is worse now than it was when the former president was there. So, and so there's no explanation that we can bring about reform. Oh, so it will bring pain, then after the pain, then we'll come.
Yeah,
because so all of that is just like it's not really hitting the right course, because things are very difficult. As I was coming to the studio, I was telling my colleague, my man was telling me, sir, please go and talk there. Things are difficult. I'm just coming from somewhere. People are hungry. People are complaining, everywhere. So the government has to look at those policies and see how, for example, I think now a bag of garri is even more costly than a bag of rice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is that not so? Please correct me if I'm wrong. That the bag of garri, if it's the same 50 kg, because I walked into a supermarket and I wanted to buy, and what they sold was at 6,000 naira. Is what we used to buy like a couple of 100 naira before. 6,000 naira. All this supermarket where and that a family cannot rely on that one for a week. So things are very difficult, and when it's becoming so difficult to even feed your family, and if not that the resilient nature of our people are really suffering, and the government need to know that. And so this policy has to have a human face to be able to, for us to move this country forward.
All right. So in line with what you said, although not completely, but I think the government have come out to also make us understand that, okay, the pain we're going through is just for now, but for a better, future and all. But moving away from the reforms and all, let's look at another aspect, another sector, the security. I mean, the hardship and the high cost of food and all. Yes, the cancellation of the fuel subsidy has its own part, but would also agree that the whole insecurity, not allowing farmers get to their farms, has also been an issue that has, affected the country as a whole and all. Looking at what the current government or administration has done so far in that area, would you say that they have done well in handling insecurity in Nigeria? I mean, we were ranking the 8th most terrorized country, I think, as of last year, number 8, which is really bad. That's out of how many, countries I know. So generally, now we're still looking at the space of the 1 year window. Would you say that this government has done well in handling that aspect so far? I mean, we know that we are still having those issues, but have they done well in, trying to manage it?
Okay, this for security problem that we have, everywhere you have economic hardship, there will be a spike in insecurity. Okay, because a lot of people will take more to crime to survive. It's not everybody that can continue to, maintain, and some people are going to be pushed to do what they are not naturally supposed to do. So there's going to be, I know that because I'm in the security sector, so there's going to, everywhere you are going to have hardship, economic hardship, and there's going to be a spike in insecurity. A lot of people are going to become more hardy. Even those who are there, who have involved in insecurity, when they come out, when there's nothing for them to do and society does not have anywhere for them to go, they go back to do the same thing they did before. And they will even do it more than they were doing it before. So definitely we see that the insecurity has continued. In some cases, maybe we know that as a new government, new security architecture will come into play, but you will know that even with the boldness that even the military have been attacked here and there, I mean, shows that there's that insecurity, there's no leeway there. There's still, insecurity is still on the high, because when soldiers have been attacked and have been killed, how many in Delta State, 70 of them were killed. In Abia State 2 days ago, 5 of them were wasted attack. You know, the ferocious attack. You know, so when we have this kind of daredevil, you know, criminality, and like somebody said, it has become a criminal enterprise, that even the communities, that know these people, they are afraid to say anything, because we cannot rely on our state actors in the security forces. How many soldiers do we have? How many soldiers can we police every village, every road, every... No. So usually it's a whole society approach to security. But when it comes to a situation whereby even the state actors, who are the law enforcement agencies, the military and the law enforcement agencies, if they have been attacked, even police, when they attack, they don't even talk about it. It's because they are military men, and because this is not something that we are used to. And so I think insecurity is still the way it is. People, we have not really seen a downward, you know, trend in that sector, because it is still what it is. But like we know that government is continuing, maybe the government will continue to work on that and continue to, you know, keep tab on it.
Okay. So in your words, for insecurity, we haven't moved forward, we haven't moved backward, we're still there. All right, Mr. Sunday, do you agree with that?
Yeah, for insecurity, we wouldn't really say progress has been made.
Okay.
But one will not also say that we were yesterday, because I report them every day. I get their statements from the Nigerian Army, the police, and all that. So we report them. And they give us information of how troops are dislodging camps and terrorists here and there. So we make that known. And when there's casualty, they suffer casualty, we also make that known. So there could be a marginal progress in what we're doing, based on what we report daily. But we also hear of attacks. We get that. We also report that. So they have not been able to cover the space, your governed space, so to say, properly. Like what's happening in Benue State, you know, the frequent killings in Benue, and some other states in the North Central, the banditry, the rate of kidnapping in, you know, travelers in Kogi State and all that. So we've not really been able to get all those areas, issues under control. But again, I think the military also should also find a way to learn, to also integrate the dynamics, the norms of democracy in their operations. Okay? For instance, like what happened in the Southeast recently. Okay? The people have declared a day for an anniversary. You need to give them space to express themselves. All right? You need to give them space to express themselves as in a democracy. Give them that day, May 30. Do whatever you want to do, go back to your home. 24 hours after that date, if anyone is found on the street still continuing, that time would have elapsed. They can take action. But the military went and mounted a roadblock. All right? That led to that. For me, I think, as those security experts may even have a different view, I think it's a tactical flaw.
Okay.
As a democracy, allow them to express themselves. Give them that. They have taken a date. Allow them that space. And you know, so you don't need, after that date, whosoever continues, then you enforce the law. But that they kill the soldiers is not even justifiable, because they're also killing innocent people on national duty. Why should you kill somebody that is in your own domain to ensure your own security, the security of your family, the security of your children? These are members of other families. They have people waiting for them at home to say they went to work, we're expecting them back home. Then you went and you slaughtered them. It's not justifiable for any reason.
Indeed, it's so sad. All
but
right.
Again, the military also have to respond with caution, because they issued a statement yesterday that their response is going to be fierce. They should also consider innocent citizens, the law-abiding citizens, so that you don't go move in and crush the bird and the egg. And one thing which about criminal operations, when the criminals, when they hit, they don't remain on that spot. So when you call, the people you see at that scene may not be those who perpetrated the crime. So So I think they should have an improvement.
You have to be smart about it.
Right.
All right. So this current administration still have 3 more years to be on that seat, to be in that position. Are you hopeful now? Looking at, let's just say this 1 year is more like a sample of what they can do. Looking at what they've done so far in this 1 year, are you hopeful that the next 3 years would be way better? I mean, we've all agreed that things are not easy right now, but are we hopeful that at least before the end of their tenure, things will get better? There will be a light. We'll definitely get to that light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know if Mr. Sunday is laughing, but it's like you don't believe there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
We can only rely on that hope, because without hope, the essence of I believe hope is the essence of human existence. You have to keep hope. You have to keep hope. And the theme of,
renewed hope.
Is renewed hope.
Yeah, okay.
So because the government came in on this expectation and the promises were made. And so we have, so the government has to just work hard to make sure that the next 3 years, now like my colleague said, the foundation, I believe we've seen the policy. One of the policy that we can applaud is the student loan. Okay? Yeah, so some of the policies that we have seen, if they can carry them through, if they can work on the refineries and they are working and the fuel prices can come down, can become, it's going to affect food prices, because we have this movement of food from the hinterland to the city and urban centers and all of that. So we have so much to hope for, and that hope has to be the foundation. That has to be what sustains us while we're waiting. That in the next, when the government will be celebrating 2 years in office, or the president will be celebrating marking 2 years in office, then we'll see some improvement. We'll not be coming to this studio and be saying about the same thing. We'll see improvement in the security, atmosphere, environment. We'll have seen, hunger will have gone down. There have been available,
the dollar and naira would have been stabilized.
The economy, the power situation, because we have to reference that too. That is part of the thing that contributes to the way the economy has been. So where I live in Okpobia, and there's no been light in the last 24 hours. And nobody's talking to us about what is responsible for that. And we're in darkness for 24 hours. So this thing has continued. We know how much detail they have spent on this, the reform that have been carried out from government that's translated to private sector, and yet the improvement has not been there in the power sector. So we want to see a lot of improvement in so many sectors, because we know that it's not just the job of the president alone.
Yeah.
Okay? Because the president will come, the president will go. It is system that should improve. Because, okay, so the government will only appoint the minister of power. What are those power sector? It's a whole gamut. So what are they doing? Has there been any improvement in the last 8 years? This is another 1 year. So a lot. But we can always hope that things will get better. Because we know we have a president that has the political way. Okay? Like he said, wherever he is, the president responds, and the president talk. It looks like we have someone who is in charge.
He's quite active.
Who is active and who knows what he's doing, who has knowledge of the economy himself, coming from that sector. So it's not just about someone who is going to rely on advisor or the appointees. So he's someone who is knowledgeable about the economy himself, who has been in that sector, who is a financial person. So we expect that 1 year, maybe 1 year is too short to judge out of 4 years tenure. But let's hope that as we begin the journey of the second year, we'll see a lot of it.
It will get better. All right.
We have to interrogate that hope.
Yeah.
All right. I think what the government needs, or what Mr. President needs, is to correct some of his policies. You don't implement policies halfway. If he does that, there will be no hope. That they are telling us, we are suffering today because of the future, is a lie. We are not suffering today because of the future. We are suffering today because of the Nigerian elite, the state actors. But when you introduce subsidy, you are making the investor confident, so he doesn't suffer loss. When you remove subsidy, you are still giving up the price. So both the elite, they are making money, they are getting richer when there's subsidy, they get richer when there's no subsidy. Nigerians are not suffering because of the future. They are suffering because of the convenience of the Nigerian elites, the state actors. Let's be very specific. So either way, but the point is this: if we must have hope, the president must break that monopoly of the oil dealers. If you break the monopoly and allow more actors to come in, the prices will go down. Because I will want to sell and go back. If you don't want to put your own price at a different, that's your business. But the moment there's this monopoly and this price fixing, because subsidy comes as a result of price fixing. You bring in these products, then you go to bed, you come back tomorrow, I tell you this is the price, and because of this, I'm going to do this subsidy. Do you do that in open market economy? No. Look at the electricity tariff. If we are going to make progress, Buhari tried it, but he was reluctant. He didn't have the courage. The licenses of the discos should be revoked. There's gross inefficiency both in capital investment and in technology, application of technology in that energy sector. Right? Some years ago, I conducted an investigation, and I went there at Alausa, and one of the top managers, he told me, he said, look, and I said, why this estimated bill all the time, everywhere? People are complaining. Why should people be paying for what they are, for services that are not rendered? And we are engaging. At the point you say off record, I have to put up my recorder. I told them the truth is that they cannot account for the supply, electricity supply for the national grid. Wow. So when you cannot account for what you supply, you lack the technology. Then you now shift the burden to consumers. When Fashola was Minister of Power, Works and Housing, there was a time that there was this report that discos are now refusing to receive electricity from the national grid because they can't manage it. Then how do you define incompetence? How do you define efficiency? They are not prepared for the business. So there was something wrong with the privatization of that sector. And I thought that within this 1 year, because that would have been one of the achievements of the president, I would have thought that within 1 year, the DG of the BPE, the Bureau of Public Enterprise, would have reviewed all the privatization we did over the years and come up with a report. These are the things we want to see of a government that is telling us of change. If you continue the same tradition, you can't get a different result. So when they are tenants of hope, they are not tenants of hope when they are not practically active in the direction of hope. So the government needs a total rejig.
All right. And
the president must also look within the next 6 months and check what the performance of the ministers. Some of the ministers have to go. You have to have ministers that are thinking.
I think there was a certain time there were talks on reshuffling some of the.
He has to do it. It's not about. If you don't even, you may not even make that progress, even in the next 10 years.
All right, gentlemen. All right, I think that will be all for this topic. We hope that at the course of the remaining 3 years, we would actually get to that light, and we hope that things will actually get better.